While they haven't been officially unveiled, we do have official images, so today we have the first impression of the Adidas D-Rose 9. I see quite often people on the internets leaving comments in chat boards, message rooms, Instagram, Twitter, yada yada yada. All of them are asking, why does D-Rose still even have a signature shoe? He actually signed a lifetime contract, so as long as he is playing basketball in the NBA, he will have a signature sneaker. And with that being said, this is our first official real look at the Adidas D-Rose 9. And with that, we're taking a look at the upper material. Actually, before we do that, I just want to say that the shoe really reminds me of this. Not just this particular shoe, but their overall design language throughout most of Adidas right now. They all kind of have this little like elf looking heel portion. Elf shoe, I should say, it doesn't look like an elf. It reminds me of Robin the Boy Wonder, his original pixie booties, you know what I mean? Like when he was wearing the underwear and stuff like that, and he had that weird kind of long swooping type of shoe on. That's what these remind me of. That's what the D-Rose 9 remind me of. That's what the Ultra Boost reminds me of, the Yeezy. I mean, take your pick. They all have that same overall design language or look. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I do like the way that it looks. It's just they all kind of look like that. Even the accent on the toe right here is present on the D-Rose 9 as well. I personally really like the way that that looks. I'm just saying they remind me of an off-court shoe more than they do an on-court shoe. But again, they do have performance features, plenty of them in fact, so let's go ahead and take a look. Back again with the upper. The upper looks very similar to what is used on the Adidas Crazy Boost Level 1. That was the lifestyle model. This is the performance model. The textile that they used along the upper is just really thick and really tight. Whereas on the Level 1, it was actually kind of a more, I wouldn't say loose, but just more flexible. I don't even know if that's the right word, but it had more paneling to it, so it looked like it moved well with the foot. Versus something like this, which is looking like it's mostly supposed to contain it. Now you can see that the way that it's stitched is actually implemented in different ways depending on the various locations of the paneling. So the lateral side panel looks to contain the foot laterally, whereas the forefoot moves things over a little bit, which should have you covered for jab steps and quick stops. Now that might be me just kind of over analyzing the entire upper as it is. Could just be a design feature, who knows? But that's just what it looks like when I see it. Now something that does look a little bit lackluster is the support. The midsole looks like it's going to be able to cup and cage most of the foot, mostly in the rear section of the shoe. And then we have an external heel counter as well. But again, going back to this shoe right here, which is a lifestyle or casual shoe, the heel counter looks not too much different than the implementation here in this. I personally wouldn't hoop in. Not to say that this is bad, it's just not what we've come to expect. It's not something like this where it's definitely molded and made for performance. On top of that, the material looks kind of flimsy, so maybe if it was made out of TPU like it was in the D-Rose 5 or even the D-Rose 6 back there, maybe I'd have a different feeling about it, but as of right now, I'm just kind of weary on it. Again, it looks very much like their lifestyle models that are designed after basketball models and less like a performance model for basketball. Probably the most notable change is the fact that there's no boost on this shoe, and this is actually the first Adidas D-Rose model to not feature boosts since the D-Rose 4, which was the last model to feature Adiprene. As back then, D-Rose was actually like their marquee player. Obviously, things have changed since then, and now we have a bounce version of the D-Rose with the D-Rose 9. On a personal level, while I do love boost, I really love bounce, so I'm not mad or hating or anything like that. I do see how marketing it doesn't look good. You know what I'm saying? It looks like a takedown model. It looks like they don't care about D-Rose anymore. All of these things which people have said, again, in the message boards, chat rooms, Twitter, Instagram, whatever it is on the internet, it's all true. That's exactly what it looks like. Again, I'm not hating from a performance standpoint just because I absolutely love bounce cushion. I think that the Dame line is just fantastic, and I actually do prefer the Dame line over something like the Boost, which is pretty weird because I love Boost so much, but I just feel like bounce just, you know, plays better overall. It's a little bit more stable. It's still just as forgiving. You're lower to the ground. It feels good underfoot. There's some feedback there. There's not a ton of feedback, but there's some feedback. So having bounce there to me is not a bad thing. But again, the way that it looks, it just doesn't look great. It doesn't look great for Adidas, and it doesn't look good for Derrick Rose. So I don't know what everybody else is thinking other than what I see online, but I am going to say that I do kind of agree with you guys. It doesn't look right. Moving down to the traction. Look, man, the traction looks okay, but I mean, it's just really tight. It reminds me of the Dame 2, which had great traction, but when dust was there, that stuff just caked up those tiny little lines that were everywhere all over the shoe, and it did it quickly too, so it made it so that you needed to constantly make sure that you were cleaning the bottom of your sneakers, making sure that it was free of debris. So the positive outlook for the traction is that it's multi-directional. The negative outlooks is that it's shallow and very tightly spaced. But this is just a first impression. Anything can change. Once I get the shoe in, playing it, I can totally change my mind. But as of right now, that's just my first thoughts. I will say something weird when you do look at the bottom of the tooling is that there's this little cutout there and it goes right to the material that's featured on the upper. And I don't know what that's about. I don't know what it's covering. There's no torsion system kind of labeled like there normally is. So I don't know if the upper wraps directly underneath the foot, much like the Kobe AD NXT 360's Flyknit upper. Man, that's a mouthful. I'm never going to be able to get used to saying that name. They really should have called it like the Kobe 12 or something. But going back to the Rose, I don't know why you can see the materials under there, but you can. It's kind of strange. And again, it just looks more like a lifestyle option than it does a performance option. Now, Rose did debut this shoe already in the playoffs. They're obviously no longer in the playoffs as of right now, but he played well in them. So I'm hoping that everything's going to be just fine. I'm hoping that they play like a high top Dame because again, I love the Dame line and that's kind of what these guys are reminding me of. I just really hope that that traction is better than it looks. I will say though, aesthetically off court, this is probably the best looking Rose that we've had. It almost looks like an off court version of the D Rose 5 because I really like the way that those look and these kind of remind me of that. Now what we're going to do is head over to WearTesters.com. We're going to see what the readers think. So let's go ahead and jump on over there. Nathan Johnson Potter says, I'm actually kind of feeling these. Again, casually or aesthetically, I'm right there with you. I think that these look gorgeous. They just look like an off-court shoe, which isn't a bad thing. That's probably the #1 complaint that most people have for performance basketball shoes nowadays is that they don't translate well off-court as well as they do on court. So maybe this is one of the first models that we're going to get from Adidas that actually does both. Ventruck says, looks like the same material on the toe of the casual Boost You Wear Level 1. Nice elastic textile, but weirded out by how it runs under and visible at that cutout. Otherwise, liking the simplicity of the 9. Makes me think of the Kyrie 4 and the Dame 4 just to the point. Hope it's just as successful of a performer. I completely agree pretty much on all fronts. And the way that you worded the material usage on the Boost You Wear Level 1 was way better than mine. I don't know why I didn't think of elastic textile, but that's the best way to put it. Brain fart. It happens. BNP says, a low top might look nice. If Adidas is removing Boost from the D Rose line, I wonder what that'll do for his takedown models. So this in the Harden Volume 2. What's with the pocket stash at the heel area? I think the pocket stash heel area is just the space between the upper and the heel counter. I don't know. I mean, I don't think it's a big deal. I just think it's layers, which I think is why a lot of these shoes actually look good. But it is interesting that they have removed Boost like we were talking about earlier. And it does make me wonder what exactly would you do with a takedown model? Not only that, but what is the retail price of the D Rose 9 going to be? I think the last D Rose model retailed at like $140, something like that. Maybe I'm wrong. Could be a little bit more, could be a little bit less, but what is a bounce version going to be? Because the Dames are always just kind of like stuck at $115, which is a great price point. So if D Rose isn't quite the player that he once was and Dame has kind of succeeded that or exceeded that, is the D Rose 9 going to be $115? Is it going to be $110? Remember when the D Rose models used to be $110? That would be fantastic. If they kind of were to play on that and be like, yo, we're returning everything back to the way it once was, where you can get a great shoe at an affordable price, I mean, that would be fantastic. But maybe they're going to be pricing them at $120. I really don't know. It's all speculation at this point. It's very interesting though to think about. So we're going to have to keep an eye on that for sure. DB3 says, they look good. The Rose line has arguably been the most consistent signature shoe in terms of performance, especially traction. Hopefully they can keep that going. I hadn't really thought about it because to me, my most consistent performance line has been the Kobe line, but I will say that thinking back on it, the only Rose model I have not played in is the first one, but every other model, like you were saying, has been fairly consistent. Good performers on court, always has good traction. So yeah, I guess you're right. And that pretty much takes care of it for my thoughts, for WearTesters readers' thoughts. And now it's time for you to leave your thoughts down below in the comment section. Let us know what you think about the D Rose 9 overall. How do you feel about them replacing Boost with Bounce? Do you prefer one or the other in terms of overall performance? Again, I'm not mad at either one of them, and I kind of veer towards that Bounce as far as preference goes. What do you think the retail price is going to be? Do you think $110 returning on the D Rose models is actually possible? If it was, thumbs up to Adidas. Or do you think they're going to be the same prices they have been, about that $120 to $150 range? Again, I think the last one was $140, but don't quote me on that. And as far as aesthetics go, do you think this is one of those models that will translate really well for on-court use and off-court use? Sound off below in the comment section. Again, we'd love to hear from you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that thumbs up button if you like the video. And until next time, guys, have a good one.